"Don't follow me," she snapped, her voice trembling more with fear than anger, her back turned as the dim streetlight threw her shadow against the cracked pavement. Most people would have stopped at her warning, most people would have assumed she needed space. But he wasn't most people. He was a single dad, a janitor with little more than weary hands and a soft heart. And in that brief, fleeting moment, he saw one thing, a detail so small, yet so devastating, that would save her life. Friends, this isn't just a story about two strangers crossing paths. It's about brokenness meeting kindness, about how one choice, one heartbeat of courage, can change everything. So stay with me until the end, because this story may just remind you of the miracle waiting in your own life. And if it touches you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that reach the heart. Her name was Claire. From the outside, she looked like any other young woman in her 20s. Pretty enough to turn heads, but with a quietness that made her blend into the background. What people didn't know was that she was carrying the weight of years of pain, losing her mother young, growing up in foster care, and most recently, watching the only man she thought she could trust walk away with everything she had left. That night, she had told herself it would be the last one. The streets were cold, her shoes were thin, and her heart was even thinner. She wanted it all to end. And that's when she met him. Ethan was cleaning floors at the office building where she used to work. A janitor, not because he lacked ambition, but because raising his 7-year-old daughter alone had forced him to give up everything else. He worked nights so he could be home in the mornings before school. He scrubbed, he polished, he carried bags heavier than his tired back could handle. But inside, he carried something greater, the memory of a promise he made to his late wife. That their daughter would grow up in a world where kindness still existed. When he saw Claire storm out of the building that evening, tears streaking down her face, he almost didn't follow. It wasn't his business. But then he noticed it, the torn sleeve of her coat hiding deep scars on her arm, fresh and angry, like silent screams carved into her skin. And in that instant, Ethan knew, if he walked away now, she might not live to see the morning. He followed at a distance, not wanting to scare her. But she heard his steps, turned sharply, and snapped, "Don't follow me." Her voice cracked, more plea than command. Ethan froze, hands raised gently. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "But I can't let you walk away like this." Her eyes were fierce, but behind them was a child crying for help. "You don't know me. You don't know anything about me." "You're right," Ethan replied, his voice trembling with honesty. "I don't know your story. But I know pain when I see it. And I know what it looks like when someone's about to give up." For the first time in years, someone had seen her. Not the mask, not the walls, but her. And though she turned away again, her steps slowed. She found herself listening. Ethan didn't push. He didn't preach. He simply walked a few feet behind, telling her about his daughter, about how lonely nights sometimes made him want to give up too. About the time he almost drowned in grief after losing his wife, until one tiny hand grabbed his and whispered, "Daddy, please don't leave me too." That's when Claire stopped. Her shoulders shook. She covered her face with her hands and whispered, "Nobody would care if I disappeared." Ethan stepped closer, careful not to frighten her. "That's a lie pain tells you," he said gently. "I thought the same once. But my little girl, she would care. And I think, somewhere in this world, someone would care for you too. Maybe you just haven't met them yet." The tears she had been holding back for years broke free. She collapsed onto the curb, sobbing into her hands, and Ethan sat beside her, not as a savior, not as a stranger, but as someone who understood. He didn't fix her. He didn't offer money or empty promises. He just stayed, steady and present, until the storm inside her passed. From that night on, Claire didn't walk alone anymore. Ethan invited her into his world, not romantically at first, but as someone who needed a safe place. She started helping him clean at night, just for company, and he introduced her to his daughter, Lily, whose innocent smile had a way of melting even the hardest of hearts. Slowly, piece by piece, Claire began to rebuild the life she thought she had lost forever. But it wasn't easy. There were nights she wanted to disappear again, days when the scars on her arm itched with old memories. Each time, she tried to push Ethan away, fearing she was too broken to belong anywhere. And each time, Ethan simply reminded her. The only thing broken about you is the lie you keep believing, that you don't matter. But you do. Months passed, and something extraordinary began to grow. Not just healing, not just friendship, but a kind of family born out of pain and kindness intertwined. Ethan's daughter started calling Claire Auntie, and for the first time in her life, Claire had someone waiting for her at the dinner table. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. And then one spring morning, as cherry blossoms fell across the street like confetti, Claire looked at Ethan and whispered, "You saved my life that night." He smiled gently. "No, Claire. You saved your own life. I just didn't let you do it alone." Friends, if you've listened this far, remember this, sometimes the smallest